All right, and good evening, and welcome. Okay, put this down here. All right, so that we can see it here. All right, all right. So here we go. Um, so good evening, and welcome to this Good Friday. I believe is celebrated today, and because it has the word "good," which in Hebrew means "tub," which means functional, something that is good for you and it functions and it works according for the purpose for which it was made to work. And I'm sorry that the door looks a little bit like that, but I look good in this angle. That's why I'm keeping it this way. I like the way it looks on my shoulders and everything. So I was gonna fix it, but I like the way it looks. So I'm just gonna keep it this way. The camera is like bent a little slightly like that. I'm looking at it right now. But in any case, today I'm going to talk about how strong or how good and strong is your economy. Okay? And now, whenever I talk about economy right now, I am referring to that's the way I'm translating that as from the Hebrew, the bar, or the bar, which is word for Hebrew. And I'm translating that into the best translation that I can find for the word in English. Because as you understand, I have the word here, the reference. Uh, let me get to the screen here. We go up. Those are the Hebrew letters. That first one is called Dalet, the one on the one top there. And then the second one is Bet. And then the third one is Resh. And in Hebrew, you start, from the right to the left. So the first one on the right is Dalet, which is the picture of a door if you have the pictographic language. And that's the function of entrance and also represents gates. A gate in the Bible represents government or administration. Okay, so it has the picture of the gate, and there's a picture of a building or the tower or a house or a tent. Although that is the bed, it's a house. And the resh is the picture of a head or the ruler or the rules, the ones that run everything. So the one on top of everything. So it's a dalet, bet, resh. And so when you put together is the entrance to the house of rules, okay? Or the administration of the house of rules. And the word economy in English comes from two words, eco and nomos. Eco means house, and nomos means laws or rules. So that's why I choose the word economy to translate it. Now, I give you here the different ways it's used according to the Strong Concordance here, and it's translated in the King James. The different words that are used to translate it. This is the Davar, speech, saying, utterance, word, words, the business, occupation, acts, matter, case, something, manner, and also it's translated as a thing. The word Davar is translated as a thing because in the Hebrew mindset, thing and word are the equivalent because a thing and a word, a thing could not be named nor could be explained without the word. So the word is the reality behind everything. Without words, there's nothing because we couldn't even name anything. So they are synonyms in that way. So even the word thing is translated as the bar. But I like to come out and use it as economy because that's the closest translation, to the way that it's translated in English that is close to the pictorial. And to me, it's the highest way of expressing because that means if you run an economy, that means you run a whole word with all of its definitions. If it's an economy, that means you run a business. Okay, and also I like the idea that when you have a business here in the United States, you have to go register to the county or the place where they register the business, get what it's called, and put an ad, and call it the DBA registry. DBA is doing business as, whatever it is, Elenitas Tacos, whatever you call your business, but doing business as is a registry. But that's Dalet Beth Resh included in that, the DBA, the initials for DBA with the Resh because it's a registry. You got to register. So interesting. So even doing business, so I got a whole idea which I'm gonna explain at the end. But that's what I'm talking about. We're examining, and so I'm letting you know this from the beginning. So whenever I say the word economy, it has to do with the word in itself. I'm gonna check somebody. Trying to get on my phone here. Not for me right now. Okay, in any case, so it has to do with the economy because a wholesome word, if you know a whole idea, a whole concept, you can run a whole economy with that, a whole business. All right, so I like to use that as economy. So when I'm referring to that, so that's why what's going on right now is affecting the economy a great deal. As you can see. So the question I ask is, because last session that I have with you is to explain the monetary system that we're into right now. And the whole idea is that the question of this is how strong and how good a tub, or is your economy or your word. Because this kind of situation of what's going right now with this pandemic that is taking place, this proves how strong is the word that is inside of you. Because the word that is inside of you is your own economy. You got to think of yourself as an economy because most businesses are named after somebody else that thought of an idea or the name of a product that they gave it. But, like Wendy's, for example, Carl's Jr., all this, uh, McDonald's, those are names, or something, or somebody. And they invent an idea, product, then create a whole economy, a whole business out of that, right? So you got to think of yourself, the knowledge that you possess, the things that you have inside, you get to share with other people. And so therefore you're connected with other entities, with other people. That depends on how strong is the word that is in you and the knowledge that is in you. You can strengthen these people or you can leave them as weak as you find them and not do anything better for them. So in this, what is called Good Friday, I want us to concentrate on what good have I learned, that's something that is good for me, that I know it has helped me, and I have implemented, I have put it in practice, and I know that it works because I have tried it on. I just tried and tested something that I've done and see how I can communicate that to my fellow man. Okay, and that's why I want to use my website domain that I had it since 2003, the CEOs.com, to create that fellowship of people that have done something with strengthening their economy. I mean, the word that is in them, so that they live a certain lifestyle. So when pandemics like this that have happened right now occurs, it does not affect them. For example, this pandemic, has happened, has affected a lot of people's life in many different ways, more than they could even number right now. But I've been living this kind of lifestyle since 2012. That means I've been working from my home since 2012. Okay. And prior to that, I was working also from my home because I started this work that I do as an interpreter in 2008. But even then, I was working another work outside during the nighttime, doing paper routes. So I was doing two jobs. And in the paper routes, I was like in charge of the warehouse, opening and closing. I was like a supervisor there, so I couldn't leave that right away. But until 2012, I was fully just doing this. And then I was walking. I would walk because 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. I would take my son to school. He was living with his mom, and I would walk to where he lived, and I would talk him to school, and then come back myself. So I got into a long practice of walking, and so that's the year that I fasted 3 times. I did 40 days fasting that year, and I went down to 33 pounds. The smallest I ever been, but that was the year that I got to that. So a lot of things were done that year, but also that was the year 2012 where everybody was open arms that was going to be the end of the world because in December 23rd of 2012, that was, even the movie 2012 came about the end of the world. So all kinds of stuff that were going on, But interesting that in a sense, I think that the lifestyle that I implemented from that point on, indeed, that would have brought the end of the economy that we are right now. Because you see, in the way that I live, I do not eat sugars, I do not eat wheats, and imagine not going for all those years not eating sugar and wheat. If everybody implemented my lifestyle, just that industry will go broke, you see. So I have adopted a lifestyle that if a lot of people will implement it, it will destroy the economy as it is right now. Okay, and also since 2003, I haven't gone and see any doctors. I don't see doctors. I don't get any prescribed medications, I don't even take an aspirin, I have bought at some point or another, I have bought some supplements like magnesium and zinc and potassium, stuff like that on my own, for stuff that I needed. But now I figure out where to get it naturally, and I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. So that, all these things you can get it naturally. But in any case, so other than that, so if I'm a person that do not visit the doctors, I don't have any need for insurance or anything like that because I know what I put in my mouth. I put in my mouth something that is going to bring me health. I got to check from time to time that I'm on. So that's something that I do constantly. So I adopted a lifestyle that does not need the healthcare profession. I do not need doctors. I do not take flu injection. I don't think I have ever taken any flu inject or vaccines of any kind here in this country that I remember. And I've been here since 1975 when I came here. I was like, what, 15, right? Yeah. So that's been the case here. So in my whole life like this, living like, with this kind of lifestyle, I will bankrupt a lot of industries that depend on your body being deficient. All right. But what I'm saying is, you have to live a lifestyle that when this kind of the economy as in general that controls all of us right now, it changes so radically like it has right now, it has no effect on you. Like people that go to gyms are greatly affected. I don't go to gyms. I just walk. Walking is good enough. And it's the best exercise for the heart. Get a strong heart and what have you. So just a simple walk, but I continue with my walk. So that's the best way to give myself the best health possible that way. So there's one thing that I do. So you adapt a lifestyle, that is that challenging, and that's the whole thing. So what I'm trying to ask you is how good and how strong is your economy? I'm encouraging you to think of ways in which you could improve things right now for yourself and get enough knowledge, so that you will not be sick, will not be a burden to any healthcare system because you don't need for them to take care of you, or you don't need to use the money from any insurance company, which is all the money put together by people that they're able to use when you're sick and pays for your coverage. So you are not become a burden in any way to society that way. Your carbon footprint upon the planet is very little indeed. And that's the whole idea, to adapt an economy that way so that you will do less harm to your own body, less harm to the environment, and the least harm to your fellow man, okay, to mankind itself. And so because I adopted this situation as it is has not affected me one bit. The only thing is in the regular time when everybody's working 40 hours, I always work more. I can work up to 66 hours per week because they're always giving us a lot of overtime in this company. So the only thing that has happened for the first time since I've been working in this company since 2008, it's going to be 12 years, come this April 28. I started April 28, 2008. It's going to be 12 years. This is the first year, I believe, that I have worked now because of what's happening right now. They have given me only 40 hours a week, which is what everybody does average. Because other than that, all the other times, they always give me more than that, a lot of overtimes, up to 26 hours overtime on top of the 40 hours. But that has stopped for now, but at least I have my regular hours. So you see, you adapt a situation in which that happens, then that's why you informed that group COVID-19-MAN, because, I was going to encourage some people because I know they're just barely starting, to live this kind of lifestyle, and I've been living it for a while. That's why I adopted the 1 meal a day situation, only 1 meal a day at night time and do it within an hour time to do it. So all of that helped me to stay fit, to stay trim, and even to lose weight when I measure what I eat, and so that's a lifestyle that in the long run, it helped me to stay healthy, and it can help me to help those who really want to learn how to do it, so they can do it themselves. And usually I only share with those that ask me questions. But tonight I want to share with everybody that will listen to this, so they can get something to strengthen their own economy, their own words. So there's a way that you got to run your life. You got to know what things you should eat, what things you should drink, what things you should wear, what cars you should drive, all these things, but in such a way that it will do the less harm to you, and the less harm to the environment, and the less harm to your fellow man. That's how you have to plant it from the very beginning, and then you create a strong economy. You are a man and a woman that is very strong indeed, because the circumstances, do not affect your lifestyle, because you live above the lifestyle that's being implemented for the rest of the masses. Okay, so while the masses are suffering because they live according to what they've been told to them is is the correct way of living, then you are not affected by it. For example, the diet, the food that I eat, it's never missing in the market because nobody wants to eat this food that I eat, which are a lot of vegetables. I use a lot of vegetables that are loaded with vitamin A, like kale, spinach, carrots, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, bell peppers, some onions, garlic, and most of that stuff, I always find it when I go to the market. I don't have any problem. People don't like to buy those stuff, and I never have any struggle with that, And if I eat something that has meat in it, it's usually just like, if I eat meat that is usually the only meat that I cook at home in my meals, it will be either, and I don't do it every day, like maybe every other day, will be like beef liver because it's loaded with vitamin A. I also drink 1 tablespoon of cod liver oil loaded with vitamin A. And the reason why I do a lot of things with vitamin A is because I'm looking on the screen the whole day. In this work, I do get on the screen the whole day, and so you have to do something to strengthen your eyesight, or it's going to wear off really soon. So I do that for the purpose of keeping my eyesight straightened. Thank God I can still, this is just 1.5 or 1.25. It's even gone down. It's not that much of a thing, but thank God I can use it and work with that. So the whole thing is, so I have to do something. So that's why I eat that way, and eat everything that is conducive to that. Now I can eat other meats if somebody invites me to eat on the weekend or some places, where I can go out someplace. Not right now, of course, but then I get to eat some other meat or whatever people prepare for me. But you see, you adapt a lifestyle that is healthy for you, and then because it's so healthy that people don't like it, you find all the food in the market all the time. You don't have to struggle for that. And another thing, when you eat this way, when you eat with a lot of fiber in your body, when you have to go to do the bowel movement, when you got to poop, everything comes out and hardly anything to clean, just a little wetness that you have to wipe out. So you have to use that much toilet paper. So you save a lot in toilet paper, just like the animals that eat a lot of fiber, like the grass and stuff like that, they poop and have to clean themselves because no residues left in there, in the rear. That's what happens. That's how it should be when you're eating more natural stuff, but most of you probably have never experienced that because of the way that you eat. But you get to save a lot in a lot of things, so you don't have to worry about so many things. So that's what I want to share with you. I want to celebrate this Good Friday by giving you something functional, something useful that you can use for yourself. Okay, because the way the economy is being run right now is being run by a lot of people that depend on your deficiencies. And I explained before, in the past, that there's this person named John Warren who wrote the book The Nature of Crops, and I told you he understands that there's 300,000 edible plants, and industrialized countries just focus on giving us 200 of those plants to make those available for us. The question you should have asked yourself long time ago, you and I should have asked, who gave these people the authority to deprive us of the other 99.5 and some percent of the other plants that we do not know about? When did they took it upon themselves to just deprive us of all of that big garden of health and longevity? Okay, but those people, you don't get to vote for that. You are kept in the dark. A lot of you don't even know that there were so many plants that were edible plants. That's a total of 400,000 plants, but 300,000 of them are edible, are good for our health. But industrialized countries, just make sure that we get about 200 of them. Those are the ones that are given to us. And even of those 200, most people don't eat even 35 fruits and vegetables that they eat on a regular basis. So you are completely deficient. So to begin with, you have a system, that is completely deficient when it comes to your body. The constitution of your body is very weak because it doesn't get all those 300,000. So you're very weak to begin with, so they know you're going to be deficient to start. And then they create the processed food, which is stripped of all the natural nutrients and just added on to say that it's enriched with some vitamins. But all those things are not there to really give you strength and stamina and to, keep you going. So this is the situation that you're in, So then you are trusting these people that have deprived you of the knowledge of what is really the strength for your body, And now they will tell you that all they can do for you is to give you a little vaccine, for what's going on. Don't you know that you have an immune system that can defend itself, and therefore you need to be taught how to make this immune system strong. How to get vitamin D from the sun when you go out with a sleeveless shirt for 20 or 30 minutes every day, so you can have, the cholesterol in your skin transform into vitamin D, go back to your system. That's the cheapest way to get it. Cook with the right oils, like olive oil, like coconut, coconut, extra virgin coconut oil, stuff like that are good for your system. Don't put nothing like canola oil, nothing like that in your system. Don't mess up your system. Put stuff that is good in it. So that's what I'm talking about. So you need to create that knowledge of understanding, so that your economy, the word that is in you, guides you, so that you will remain above the rest of the people that you're being led by the people that know how to lead the masses. You don't have to be the sheep or one of them. All right. So that's the whole idea. So that's what I'm trying to do. So we're gonna look right now at some of the people that are supposed to be the leaders in our economy. Like I'm sure you'll be hearing from. Let me share with this person here. Okay, here. There's these two people here. I've been hearing a lot of Melinda Gates and Bill Gates. Okay, their solution that they have for us, that they're donating. They want to make themselves be known as philanthropists. None of these people have medical doctorates or anything like that. This, especially Bill Gates. They just, I'm going to play a little thing from some guy here that, at the age of 14, wrote the thing for the email that we're aware of in 1978. He was 14 years old and he wrote the code for the emails that we are accustomed to do right now. And he's written other programs. So he's written lines and lines of code. And he'll tell you that Bill Gates never wrote a code. He just bought it from other people and put a name on it, But he's going to expose this guy. But this is the guy that we're trusting right now to lead us. William Gates. William means a resolute protector, and Gates means government or administration. So the meaning of his name is a resolute protector of governments. So that's what he works. He works with all these governments and he protects their interest, only their interest, because that's really the meaning of his name, William Gates. So he's really living up to the meaning of his name, not for the sake of the whole world, but for the sake of government, because that's how his name is written. That's the meaning of his name, you understand? Okay, and then we have the wife, say that what keeps us up asleep at night, The thing is, I'm going to read a little passage from the scripture before we get into describing these people, and so you can understand who you need to pay attention to, all right? We were made to be the word carrier, to be the carrier of an economy, of the Davar, okay? And to have this Davar in us be enriched with the understanding of the maker of the organic world, the garden of life. So we will portray his character in all that we did, all right? And so we're going to look at what it says here in Isaiah chapter 8, okay? In Isaiah chapter 8, we begin with verse 11, okay? Because I think this is kind of interesting for the days that we're living in right now, where people are talking about conspiracy theories and all that. But in verse 11, chapter 8, verse 11, it says, and this is Isaiah speaking, it says, "For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk, or should I live. I should not live. To walk in the Bible is to live like somebody. I should not walk in the way of this people. I should not live the way that these people live." How? The saying, "Say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom these people shall say," a confederacy. Confederacy is like conspiracy theory now. "Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid of what they're afraid of." It says, nor be afraid. It says, "Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify," or set aside, "the Lord," the word of your maker, the Lord of hosts. It says, "Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread." In other words, you sanctify the word of your maker, because we only know God by his word. So to me, the word of God and the Lord is the same combined, because he had only given us his words to hear him. So we listen to the word of our Maker, and we keep that word, that economy of His revelation, very strong, according to what He has given to us. And we are to be afraid to not keep that economy strong, because if that economy is not kept strong, that reveals Him, then anything that can come out, like it's happening with the pandemic, will have a great effect on you, like it's having on you right now. But if it's kept strong, like He has taught me to do it, and I have kept it, this thing, will not have any effect on you whatsoever. And that's what I want for you, for you guys. I want you to have a strong economy and understanding of revealing your Maker is really the easiest way to live, with less stress than anything else. And then you learn a few little things that you need to follow for the care of this body, and it's voila, everything is so easy, So you don't have to go forward with all this agenda that these people are presenting you to go for, So, but it says here, all right, we're going to continue. It says, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread, and he shall be for a sanctuary. You're going to be protection. You're going to be, in this word becomes like a sanctuary city for you. But he's going to be a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, and for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In that case, he was talking to the prophet Isaiah, and the people of God were not listening, the ones to whom the prophet was speaking. He says, and many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up, says, the testimony, seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob. This is Isaiah speaking. And I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord had given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, go see the psychic and see what's going on, man. Maybe we can hear something good, maybe things that our luck is going to turn around and see, because things cannot go, man, I can't stand, I need to hear a good word, like you ask this so-called preachers, to tell you a good word for the day. It says, and look unto the wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their God for the living to the dead? To the law, verse 20, to the law unto the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. To the law unto the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. In other words, if somebody's going to love you, they're going to give you the word that takes care of you. And so the word that takes care of you is the Davar that was originally given, the word, the economy that was given and presented to us to tell us how to acquire the mindset of our Maker. Because we were given words, and that Davar, that economy that was handed down to the teachings orderly regulating all humanity, which is the Torah, Torah, teachings orderly regulating all humanity, given from God and written down by Moses. He became the secretary, it was in his ideas. Those teachings teach us how to use the word in the highest way, to just reveal the personality of our Maker, and not to be a burden to anything or anybody here upon society, but to be joyful of to be complete in that word, because that word makes us whole. That word is our wholeness. Okay, to understand that. So, and that's what every creator does. If somebody makes a car, they just concern the people look at the manual of the car and what the manual is talking about, because that's the only way the car industry is going to run. As simple as that, And so that's one of the things that you need to understand in this regard, that of what we're saying, or what I'm trying to say here right now. So anybody that comes to you and tries to give you another word that you need to follow, and not bring you back to your original economy of knowing the mindset of your Maker, and knowing how to build yourself for your own body, so that this temple will remain strong at all times, not just when the pandemics happen, but at all times, whether there be pandemic or not. And so when the pandemics come, it's just like nothing has happened to you, because your system of belief, your system of discipline, your knowledge that you possess is above what their solutions they're providing for you. Okay, so That's the thing that you think keep in mind. So anybody that is coming to you and is telling you not to build the economy, the original economy, which is the Davar of God, the Word of God, so that it will be strongly established in you, really has nothing to tell you. So you have to speak about the Dabar and what this Dabar is talking about. So the whole thing about the scriptures is how to use the word as a king, as an anointed one, as a ruler that knows how to advise nations, knows how to advise your fellow men, knows how to take care of your environment. So if the word in you is established in that manner, that word in you is a monarch, is a king, truly king, because it has understanding, it has wisdom. Okay? And that's what you need to establish and to carry the word in a regal and in a royal fashion. That word that is in you, was given for that purpose. And that's why the Torah was given. So whenever you work for any company and you're instructed in that company to take care of that product or service, you become the spokesperson. You got that word in you for that product and service is a king and a ruler in you because it knows how to take care of that product and service. So that's what we need to do exactly when it comes to the word, to reveal the character of our maker, But in the Torah, it tells us everything, how to take care of our body, what foods to eat, how to keep it healthy. Everything is there. What's kosher, what's not kosher, what's clean, what's unclean. All of that is in there, all right? So, but we're going to listen to right now to this guy, Dr. Shiba is called. He's a guy that when he was 14, I was 18 at the time, 1978, I was 18. But in 78, he wrote the code for the emails that we're familiar with. And I believe he's running for politics right now, but he's a knowledgeable guy. As a producer, not a parasite like most of the politicians are. He worked for his money, and he's running, and he's saying a lot of things about these so-called leaders that we're trusting. And so I'm going to run. I don't know if you're going to let me play this, but I'm going to run it here, see if they allow me. Since I'm not making money out of this thing, I'm just informing the people, but I want to share with you something that I have here, but what this guy said. Let me put it on the screen here. All right, here we go. And let me just get it going here. Let's see.
An exclusive interview now, a top doctor exposing everything the deep state is trying to hide about CV. Welcome to the Next News Network, my friends. I'm Gary Franchi. We are in day 9 of the Trump administration's 15-day Slow the Spread campaign. But the man who at the age of 14 in 1978 invented email, yes, the inventor and copyright holder of email. Oh yes, Dr. Shiva, welcome to the Next News Network.
Great to be here, Gary. Thanks for having me.
You posted something last week that I reported on, your tweet, and this is where you said that the CV fear, the fear-mongering by the deep state will go down in history as one of the biggest frauds to manipulate economies, suppress dissent, and push mandated medicine.
I've been a student of politics since I was a kid because I grew up in India, which had a caste system. I was considered an untouchable, which is the lowest of the Indian caste system. The medical system we're moving towards is a top-down system, totally controlled by big pharma, big ag, and big vaccine manufacturers. Sustainable development goals, signed off by the United Nations and all their countries in 2015. It's called SDG 3, which was signed in 2015. They paint a utopia, Gary. It's this utopia of the elites. Subsequently, in an Immunization 2030 document as an addendum to that, they say the way we get to utopia, these 17 goals, is we must immunize everyone on the planet, e.g. vaccinate everyone. And the reason this is important is, look, I created a company called Cytosolve, one of the other inventions I did out of my PhD work, to use the computer to understand chemical reactions in our body and on our cell, basically use a computer to model diseases so we could eliminate the need for animal testing. So Cytosolve is this amazing invention which allows me to do in a different way what my grandmother did intuitively, which is to understand the combinations and mixtures of chemicals to figure out medicines from food and natural products faster, cheaper, and safer. When I built that, I said, wow, pharma guys would want to use this because it takes them 15 years to build a drug, $5 billion. And I don't know if you know this, the pharma industry is in peril right now. They're not making any money, really any money from pharmaceutical drugs because lots and lots of investment in R&D, and they're getting less and less new drugs allowed by the FDA because of their toxicity. So what pharma companies have moved to is vaccines. The 1986, the Vaccine Court was created. John Kennedy implemented the National Vaccination Act in 1962 under a fake science or an outdated science of the understanding of the immune system. That led to many injuries that took place between 1962 to 1986. In a response to those injuries, another Kennedy, Ted Kennedy, led the creation of the National Vaccine Injury Program, which led to the creation of the vaccine courts, not in the judicial department, but under Health and Human Services, which basically allowed indemnification of vaccine manufacturers so you couldn't sue them, and the maximum liability for death was $250,000, okay? And so we're at a situation now that for pharma companies, vaccines are pure profit, no liability, no risk, they can't get sued. When I came into looking at the one-size-fits-all vaccine program, there were other activists in this field, and frankly, many of them were controlled opposition. People like Bobby Kennedy was playing a good game, saying he's against vaccines. Meanwhile, he endorses Hillary Clinton, who is vaccine queen, okay? So the position I took was I said, we need to really educate people on the immune system. You'll see the videos I started doing. They started going viral, and the movement started taking off. And in fact, 5 days before the coronavirus stuff hit, about a week before, is when we won a major victory in New Jersey against these vaccine mandates. The deep state of a few set of people, from the Gates Foundation to the Zuckerbergs to Hillary Clinton, congealed with the UN and the deep state elites. They're going to fear monger on coronavirus because of the ignorance of the medical profession. Most MDs do not know what the immune system is. They don't even study nutrition. Based on that ignorance, they were going to scare the hell out of people with the coronavirus to essentially say, we need to do this for the quote-unquote common good. That's what we're seeing go on.
There's speculation, considerable speculation, that the virus is actually a manufactured bioweapon. Now, the State Department, among others, are pushing back against that narrative, simply calling it Chinese and Russian disinformation.
What happens is this kind of virus, if you think about a big ball representing your cell, these little particles land on that cell, and their goal is to get into the cell and use your cell's machinery to replicate themselves. We have about 380 trillion viruses in our body. It's called the virome. We have about 60 trillion bacteria in our body, and we have about 6 trillion cells, which is what we're made of. Coronavirus is a class of viruses that create flus. These ones create respiratory syndrome. The coronavirus in Wuhan was a different strain than the one that was in Iran versus the one that was in Italy. And there's reports that I've read, it's hard to verify a lot of this, that all of those different viruses go back to one common branch, which actually goes back to Fort Detrick, okay, in the United States and North Carolina. The U.S. deep state sent people over to Wuhan, and that's how it got given in China. This is one theory. Whether it came in or not, my view is that if you believe in the concept of a set of people who don't care about the U.S. national interest or the Chinese national interest or the Indian national interest or Italian, they're more care for their own global interests. You could view a scenario where it got created by the deep state and got put out there. What was going on at this time? Hong Kong was blowing up. Remember that? And what people do not know is 6 months before the coronavirus, there were massive anti-pollution protests by Chinese citizens in Wuhan. You don't protest in China without risking your life. It's not like they have the First Amendment there. So large numbers of people are taking to the street and protesting, tens of thousands, because the Chinese government was going to build one of the largest incinerator plants there, which was going to just spew out pollution. And the people in China, the everyday people, really care about their health, and there have been pollution protests since 2007. Extremely growing, and then you don't hear any news about it. You see Hong Kong completely disappear, serves the globalists. When you're a student of politics and a student of medicine, you start seeing these connections. Of the 30 vaccines recommended by the CDC for young kids, not one of them has been a saline placebo control tested. And in fact, the one that they said they did a test on the HPV Gardasil vaccine, it was a fraudulent test.
That doesn't surprise me. So what do you think is going to happen with this vaccine? Do you think they're going to roll it out? Do you think they're going to mandate it like they just passed that law in Denmark?
What they're saying is there's this boogeyman called the virus, and you need the vaccine to help you stop that, okay? Boogeyman, savior. Savior's Bill Gates, Clinton Global Initiative, etc., Big Pharma. If you actually understood the immune system, it's laughable. The reality is the immune system has evolved over billions of years. We grew up in bacteria and viruses. We're supposed to play out in dirt. That's how the immune system gets turned on. So what happens is it's people who have immunocompromised immune systems, which means their immune systems are not firing on all cylinders. So imagine you have 3 cylinders, it's only firing on 2. You know what happens? The 3rd cylinder has to take up all the effort, right? Well, that 3rd cylinder in immunology is called cytokines. It fires so hard that it overreacts. And it starts not only attacking the virus surface, but also starts attacking your own tissue. So it's your own body attacks itself because of a weakened and dysfunctional immune system. Well, how do you get a weakened and dysfunctional immune system? Eat sugar all day. Eat a diet that's no longer has any vitamin D and nutrients. And that's why I wrote that letter to the President of the United States. This is really about immune health. This is the fact that we don't get enough vitamin D, we don't get enough vitamin A, we don't get enough vitamin C. I mean, there's other things, but we can focus on those 3 things. In Chad, in African country of Chad and Djibouti, there's only been 1 COVID case and no deaths. Why is that? Well, because people live probably lives that we should probably think about living. They're out in the sun. They're, digging up roots. We may consider these people 3rd world. So the solution is pretty simple. At least get out in the sun. If you can't do that, you got to boost up on vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. We're not getting sun. We're not getting fruits and vegetables. A depleted culture for 25 years. Monsanto, those pesticides affect the gut microbiome, which throw our gut off. And then we're eating high sugars. I mean, it's a recipe for death. But we're not addressing that. We're like hyping up this virus. And what is the result? You have people hiding out in homes, people getting ready to accept fascism, not addressing the fundamental issue, which is immune health.
I'm envisioning a time where we're going to see the same thing. Coronavirus vaccine is free for everyone today, right? So that's, I think, a future.
Well, it's going to be even more. It's going to even be more unfortunate than that. It'll be, oh, Gary, your driver's license is coming up for renewal. Did you get all your vaccines? You can't travel. Hey, you can't take the train or the bus. Hey, you can't go to the gym. You can't go here. This is where this is headed. A gym will say, well, we can't allow you in here, Gary. We don't want to harm all of our other people, right? Do you remember when, who was it? Michael Jordan played with the flu. People are like, wow, look at Michael. He's playing there with the flu. He's strong, right? This entire thing is a master setup. It's chess move after chess move. And it's brought to you by Anthony Fauci.
But now we're learning from the WikiLeaks drops that he is a huge supporter of Hillary Clinton, and somebody you have actually called destructive. Why should we be concerned with the advice that the president is getting from Fauci?
Anthony Fauci, in my view, should be indicted. If people actually knew what this guy actually did, he's been with the government since Reagan times, 40, 50 years. And then Bush and Obama and all the presidents up to here. How did he build his career? He built his career on a false narrative that HIV causes AIDS. Peter Duesberg, who I've spoken to, who was a truly great scientist, the youngest guy to get tenure at Berkeley. And Peter said, wait a minute, there is no causal relationship between this virus, HIV, which he considered a very harmless virus, and AIDS. He was vilified, all of his grants went away, and the guy that promoted this lie was Fauci's predecessor by the name of Gallo, Robert Gallo. Robert Gallo was brought up on scientific misconduct charges. He literally stole the HIV virus from France. He couldn't produce enough of the virus because they couldn't find it. He created a bogus HIV test. Fauci came to his rescue. I think there was a power play. Fauci essentially took the lead. Gallo was put into the back, and that was the beginning of this guy's career. He writes about how he hangs out with Bono and, remember the whole AIDS and all the stupid celebrities getting involved in this nonsense, right?
Oh, yeah.
So Fauci, he's a veteran of this. This ain't his first rodeo. He learned how to create bogus science, to promote bogus science, to create the fear of HIV causes AIDS. Billions of dollars were spent on this. A lot of people died because people used drugs like AZT. I had a very good friend of mine who died from it. And, people didn't learn HIV is frankly a harmless virus. Okay? The people who were dying from it were, again, immunocompromised. Gays at that time, were having 1,500 partners. We're doing meth, amphetamines, all sorts of drugs. They were destroying their immune system. You had IV drug users who were destroying their immune system, and you had people getting blood transfusions, not because of the virus in the blood, but because they would get immunosuppressive drugs. The simple point here from a scientific standpoint is when you lower and you destroy the immune system. So Fauci doesn't want to talk about that. Everything is about the boogeyman of viruses. Fauci knows what he's doing. He is the face of pharma and vaccines, and he sees his opportunity to become, the hero in all of this.
The one big narrative that I've seen that's been presented is that, well, more people die from the flu. But there's this massive, massive, terrifying visual of people being intubated and people eating bats and all this horrific visual propaganda. And now states are in lockdown mode. National Guard has been deployed. State guards have been deployed. Tents are being set up in cities and in Walmart parking lots and hospital parking lots. And you're having this spirit of fear descend on this country and the world at large. But why don't we do the same thing for the flu?
You have to understand, pharma and media work very closely together. Many, many years ago, one of the companies I built, I had my second life with email. I originally did it for the Clinton White House. They ran a contest. I was a graduate student at MIT to automatically read and process emails. I ended up winning that contest, Gary, and I started a company called Echo Mail. When I created that technology, I had many people starting to want to use this for analyzing email. One of the companies that was very interested in knowing about this was one of the leading PR companies in the world called Burson Marsteller. And I remember going out as a young entrepreneur, I was running my company, meeting with one of the senior executives. And this was over dinner, and he was openly boasting about how Burson helps companies in crisis management. And he was saying that Eli Lilly, at that time, was having a major problem. Prozac sales were going down. And I said, well, what did you do? He goes, well, first I went to Eli Lilly, changed their branding. Hey, you're no longer a drug company. You help the world. The second thing he goes, I had them do was spin out some nonprofit companies. One of the nonprofits, he said, was a company which said, we need to protect battered women. And that organization took out ads, which was full-page ads, which would, if you saw it in a newspaper, would say, is your husband beating you? Do you know of someone, one of your friends, whose husband is beating them? Make sure they're taking Prozac. So they create a narrative of we're trying to help the distressed, and we are the drug company. We want to help all these darkies in Africa and India, etc. We need GMOs. Gates is a savior. These guys are very clever at spending millions of dollars to create the narratives of helping the quote-unquote the oppressed, and then they will inject them with their pharmaceutical drugs. These indigenous people actually knew how to take care of their health, but they don't want us to believe in our grandmothers. They want to believe in this idiot, okay, Bill Gates, who, by the way, never created DOS. He didn't write 50,000 lines of code. I did. His mama and papa introduced him to people and bought someone else's DOS and flipped it. But he's a Harvard dropout, and he was able to patent his stuff, so he gets to be a gazillionaire. You see what I'm saying? Or a Zuckerberg. Mm-hmm. So these guys have built false histories of their eminence in the technology field. They leverage it to say they're going to be saviors, and that savior solution is not food, is not exercise activities. It's about injections into the bloodstream of people and to
All right. Well, you can get the idea of what's coming down there. All right. But you see, the solution, like he says, is not to educate yourself, not to have your strong economy. The world inside of you will be, full of knowledge and understanding. So they deprive you. First of all, you don't know that there's 300,000 plans available. So you had no idea that they were running everything behind your back. And 200 is less than 1%. Okay, Yeah. So I'm telling you, you'll be complete. 99 point something has been deprived, and we did not know it. And I don't even myself, until I've been reading myself, I've been learning this. But I had no idea there were 300,000 edible plants until this year, but we're getting more into this. So that's something. I mean, not this year, but the last year when I started writing my book, I found out about that. But the main thing is to build the word, because we were made to be workers and to build that in the understanding of our maker with the food that he recommends for our bodies to be taking. Okay, so that's the whole thing. So you have to learn how to use the word that is inside of you, the tongue as you speak it, to edify your brother. Because when you use the tongue or the language or the words that are in you just to say the sound of a word without knowing how to express all of its meanings and definitions, that's bad in of itself. But when to use the word to speak bad about somebody else, that's really even taking it even worse. To complain or just say bad things to make somebody look really bad because you are envy or are jealous of these people. So in that's one of the reasons that I've been also, like I said, I look at everything on, and I've been seeing a lot of the Jewish rabbis, and they explain it. Interesting that the book I started writing last year is called Davar. That's the way I'm titling, but I believe that the best way of saying it would be Leshon Tab, or good speech, good tongue, because they say this rabbi explained that one of the main reasons that God brings some condemnation is because of Leshon Hara. They call it, Leshon is language or tongue, and Hara is evil. So the evil speech or evil tongue, when you use your words to talk bad about somebody, to slander somebody's character, to slander, that's really bad. So among one of the big things is when the nation, as a nation, is just into Lashon Hara, you're speaking bad of everybody, envious of one another, not united, and the language is just for that purpose, then he brings the bears, which are plagues and pestilence upon the land. And so that's interesting, and I thought that I had thought of the title of a book, which will be the remedy for that, because I'm thinking of the best way to use the economy, the Davar, to build up people, to know the word in all of its fullness and meaning. I've been talking about that over and over again. And I just happened to run across this guy today that I was talking that one of the main reasons why this plague has happened is because of that. So what we do when we just speak slander, or Leshon Hara, they call it in Hebrew, where we put distance among each other. We don't come close. We create divisions. And so he said that there's a blessing in disguise in this thing, that because it sends us to our home, so we have to think about what we're doing. It brings the fear of death upon people, and that's one of the ways that they can begin to. This thing begins to be dealt with. And so I'm going to put it. So I put this guy from the secular point of view, but I want to put what this guy has to say, but this rabbi has to say, so you understand his point of view as to, he explains what he thinks, why this plague this pandemic has put on the world, and the interesting name that it has. But let me share this with you also. And then I'll end up sharing with you a little bit of the stuff that I do, that helps me for my health sake. And then we're going to be talking later on this whole week about how to build the original economy, not only for the sake of taking care of your body, but for the sake of taking care of the word itself, of the Dabar itself, the original economy, because as it is, this guy is telling things, but realize I'm independent of all these things. I don't really need any politics, and I'm happy to be a permanent resident here in this country. Even though since I work for immigration office, I know everything about the citizenship test. I have given it to people because I get to translate it. So I'm aware of what it takes to be a citizen. So I have the knowledge, of how to be a good citizen here, but I have not taken the test because I consider to have the economy built up for the original purpose, for the word of your maker, is what we're here for. And that's what I live for. And that's what I'm always doing, especially now. All right, so let me put this other guy here. Let me see. Let me lower this screen here. I'm getting to hang out to use this. All right, now. Okay, we're going to talk. All right, let me put this guy from the beginning here. All right.
Perik Beis Pasuk Yud Gimel. And there is such a chazal which, when you look at it face value, is really astounding, and it's also puzzling. Let me read the chazal to you. It says here, Omer Rabbi Chiyu bar Abba, that Rabbi Chiyu bar Abba says, Samach liyemos HaMashiach, shortly before the days of the Messiah, Dever Godel bo li'olam, a great plague will come to the world. That's a remarkable statement. We show him column, and the wicked will perish in that plague. You see, that's what it says. Now, what is puzzling about all this, of course, is the fact that he says that this will happen before Samach, which is shortly before or close to the Mashiach himself. Now, Samach means really very close to the Messianic era. So our question is why? Is it merely to punish the Rishonim so that they will perish in this plague? Or is Reb Chia bar Abba saying something much more profound? But in any case, we see that there is now a Davar, the coronavirus pandemic, and therefore can we actually hope for the fact that this may actually be that which will foreclose, or rather that which will happen before the Mashiach comes? Are we that close? And I believe the answer is yes. What we have to understand is, what does this have to do really to the Moshe Mashiach? In any case, we see a very interesting chazal that they actually allude to this Davar, a pandemic, actually before the Mashiach comes. And I believe that this chazal, Reb Chia bar Abba's statement, is an allusion to the meaning of the coronavirus pandemic. Let's take a look, and we will see something which is very important, and we'll have a much greater grasp of the statement that before the Messianic era there has to be a Davar. Let's take a look at Egypt. What was the problem with Egypt? The problem with Egypt is that the Jews were on the 49th level of Tumah, which means defilement. And had they slipped into the 50th level, then they would not be redeemed. So what God wanted to do clearly is take them out of Egypt, you see. But there was a tremendous satanic prosecution. What was the prosecution? The first idea is that they're on the 49th level of Tumah, you see, and that's what Chazal tell us. So therefore, how could you redeem them? But the second one, there was a second one, and that is that, wait a minute, you said the Jews have to be in Egypt, right, for 400 years. But they're only 210. So you're missing 190 years. So how could you take them out? Therefore, there was a tremendous obstacle for the redemption itself. The Memtesh Shari Tumah, the 49 levels of Tumah, is one that they had descended into. And the second thing is the time wasn't ready. So what the Sultan was saying is that you cannot redeem them. This presented a monumental problem. Obviously not to God, but it's a problem. So what does God do? So what God said is, I need to stop the prosecutions. Now I cannot stop the prosecution. Why? Because I created the Sultan, Satan, to uphold justice. He's my creation for that. So I can't stop him, or else I'm defeating my own purpose of why I made him. But who can stop him? And the answer is, the Jews can stop him. Because how do you stop the Sultan? Remember what I said, that if you speak Lashon Hara, then the Sultan can prosecute, because, now that's a remarkable chazal. Why? Because Reb Chia bar Abba is saying that this Davar, this plague, okay, will come to the world, and it says Davar Godel, which is a great plague. And we know what a great plague is. It's a pandemic. That's what it is. It's not a Davar Cotton. It's a Davar Godel. It's a great plague, which of course means a pandemic, and will come to the world, and the wicked, the evil people, the Rishonim, okay, they will die in this plague. They'll tell us, although we don't know why or how, that it tells us 3 times in the Medrash that Lahoya, that Lo Nigalu Yisrael Mitzrayim, that the Jews were redeemed from Egypt only because Shalahoya Behen Diltuya, because there was no people then that spoke slander. For some reason the Jews understood, and what they did is they did not speak slander. If they didn't speak slander, what did they do? They stopped the kitrugim, they stopped the prosecutions. And as a result of that, they removed the impediment. They removed the impediment itself to bringing the redemption. In fact, Moshe Rabbeinu, which is interesting, when he stood in front of the sneh, the burning bush, when God said, take my people out, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can't take them out. Why not? Because they speak Lashon Hara. And as long as they speak Lashon Hara, they cannot go out because the Satan is active recounting their sins, which, by the way, is a lot of avodah zarah, idol worship. And therefore I can't take them out. So God said, no, they do not speak any more Lashon Hara. And he told them as a sign, take your hand, put it in your garment, and he took it out, and it was Saras, which is an indication, of course, of Lashon Hara. Then he said, put it back, take it out, and it was cured. And God was telling him that the Jews do not speak any Lashon Hara anymore. And this is all discussed by the commentary Kleyoko, where it says, Heim la yaminu li. But in any case, what is important to know is that Moshe Rabbeinu himself didn't believe that they could go out until God said they do not speak Lashon Hara. There is no more kitrugim, there is no more prosecutions, and therefore you can go in now and take them out. It's critical. Therefore we see that the Jews were able to leave Egypt. Why? Because they did not speak Lashon Hara. And that's a very important idea. In fact, what we see also something fascinating, where it says in the Torah, where God says, "Hesiyatzvu ru'u," by Kriyas Yamsuf, by the splitting of the Red Sea. Okay, God says a strange idea. It says, "Stand back and watch the salvation of God." V'atem tachrishum, but be silent. So normally we learn be silent means stop complaining, because the Jews were complaining that why'd you take us out, because they thought the Egyptian army, and of course they were frightened. It was panic. So that was it. But when you think about that, that was tremendous Lashon Hara, because what they were implying is that God did the wrong thing by taking them out, because now they're subject to death by the Egyptian army. So God says, wait a minute, you're starting to speak Lashon Hara against me, and therefore you are now going to arouse the Satan to begin again its prosecution. So God says, stand back and watch and see the salvation of God. V'atem tachrishum, but be silent. What does that mean, be silent? Because you have to be silent, stop slandering me, and therefore what you're going to do is arouse the Satan to begin his prosecutions, which again means I have to stop the process. So God is telling them, stop it, because the only reason why you're able to get out of Egypt is because the prosecution stopped, and therefore I can take you out. So you must stop the slander that you are doing at Kriyas Yamsuf. It's an astounding concept, because the removal of slander is what allowed the Jews to get out of Egypt. Now, it says, God says that I will take you out of the second exile, courageous like the first, which means that not only that there will be a second redemption from Golus, but it'll be in the same manner as Egypt. What was the manner in Egypt? Because they stopped speaking Lashon Hara. What God is saying, that in order to take you out and bring the redemption now, right, you need to stop speaking Lashon Hara, you see. And therefore, we now begin to understand what all this is about. The Rebbeinu Shalom needs Klal Yisrael to stop speaking Lashon Hara. And even the nations of the world must stop their slander. And therefore God can stop the prosecutions and begin the messianic redemption in earnest. But how? Through the coronavirus itself. Because the quarantine and the fear of death, but especially the quarantine, stops human interaction. And now people are too busy fearing for their own lives, you see, and because there's no social interaction anymore, right, then most slander has stopped. So therefore we see that the coronavirus is very important, because it is the instrument by which we will stop speaking Lashon Hara, you see, and as a result of that, the process of redemption can advance. And that's what Rav Chia Ba'Abba is really intimating. That's what he's saying, that Samuch, near the Yemos HaMashiach, near the redemption itself, right? What's going to happen? You're going to have the Satan going crazy with prosecution. So then the question is, why? Because it's right next to the redemption. And the Satan is going to try to stop it. So what's going to happen? God is going to say, I need to stop this Lashon Hara. It's certainly by the Jews, and the truth is by everybody. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring a Davar, an epidemic. Now we understand Rav Chia Ba'Abba. That's why a Davar must happen, because of Lashon Hara, before, right close to the Geula itself. You see? So the remarkable thing is that's what Rav Chia Ba'Abba is alluding to. That's the secret. that before the redemption, there has to be a way, if there's going to be Lashon Hara all over the world, especially by Jewish people, right? That's going to stop God from redeeming the Jews. Therefore, what God is going to say, I need to stop them. How? By making sure there's an epidemic, and quarantine is going to stop the Lashon Hara. And hopefully it will increase Achdus, so certainly there won't be Lashon Hara. And of course, the Pachad Mavis is going to make sure that even when they're in quarantine, they will not speak in Lashon Hara, because they're going to be too concerned about what? About dying. We now understand something very profound about what Rabbi Chia Abba is saying. And we understand also what the coronavirus pandemic is. In fact, I'll tell you something interesting. It's called the coronavirus. Why is it called the coronavirus? There are many viruses. Why did God assign the virus called the coronavirus to do the job? Because corona means what? Crown. So this virus, when you think about it, is from the crown, from the king. Who? From God. Yes. So this virus is doing the behest of the king, the crown. And that indicates that it's from God himself. And the purpose of the virus is to restore the crown of the king. And that's why this virus, in many ways, is a messenger. It's a shliach, it's an instrument, see, that comes from the crown, which is God, to restore the crown back into the world. And therefore it's called the coronavirus. Well, what have I said so far?
Okay, so it's interesting, that because, like I say, when I was thinking of writing this book last year, which is titled "Way to Stop Davar," because I don't know how to speak Hebrew that well, but I think the Shon Tab will be the best way to say it. I guess that's, but it has to do with the words, because I've been thinking for a long time that the word has to be elevated to the highest, because we really have never done it. Okay, we have just been employed in all nations, industrialized countries, just to, learn the sound of a word to attach it to a picture, of an object, whether it be a place to go on vacation, or whether it be a car, or whether it be whatever commodity, or appliance, just so that you would use it and abuse it and get the next upgrade. So it's only for the purpose of being consumers that we are being taught to be word carriers. And I think that we've been left really in the mud. We haven't really grown up. We haven't left as children. There's so much and so whenever we go to work for a company, that's when we are forced to learn the word of that product and the whole definition now, so we know how to do a particular product or service according to whatever it is that we go work. So that's the only time, I do this from time to time, that's the only time that, we are inculcated or taught to learn a word. But imagine if we were taught like this all the time, that we will always want to know the knowledge of everything. That's why I love this area of computer, because one thing that I collect all the time is know how to do this, how to have a whole bunch of library in, my terabytes of external hard drives that I store all these things of how to do this, because that's knowledge. To me, I want to, whenever I will get the time, that's what I want to do. I want to learn how to do everything of everything. Then the years that I've been working I started working when I was 19, I think, as a security guard. My dad had me a job, but all these years I had never taken a vacation in all my jobs. I don't do vacations. I'm always learning. I'm always interested in getting into, the know-hows of things. So to me, knowing things is always very important. So the whole idea now that I've come to this understanding is that we need to present the word that is in us always as a king. Okay? So, the Jewish people talk about the Messiah is coming, but the thing is, the word has to be the king, has to be always anointed, always has to be a ruler as it comes out of our mouth. Let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer, according to Psalm 19:14. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart. King David wanted the word to come out of him, as a ruler, with understanding, to be able to guide the masses, because he was a king. So that's why we desire, that's why I created the CEOs, because to honor every word that has given me understanding as to the way of the setup of things. So that's what we have to do, and that's really what it comes down to. Whenever you're going to take care of any company, you gather around the way the word indicates how it's made and how it's put together. And from that point of view, then you take care of it. So you gather a summit, you gather a big think tank group, and you make together and you write things down the way things are going to be run. But you gather around the care of the word. Okay, so like for example, somebody tells you there's an expert in computers, and your computer is not working because you get the blue screen, or it's just frozen and not doing anything. And if you call a technician who's supposed to help you with the computer, and he begin to ask you, so how's your mouse doing? The mouse looks good. You go, what did he ask me about the mouse? How's your keyboard? Your keyboard looks good. You're not interested in the hardware because you're interested in what's the last computer, the last application you were using that caused the anomaly or the bad thing to happen in your computer. So you want to know about the word that is inside, about the program, about the software. And when the person talks to you about that way, then you know he's an expert, because to go to the source of it is the word. So the same with any company. Anything has to go, back to the blueprint, back to the drawing board, they say. Everything has to go. So when we're talking care also, that applies across the board. So the way that the word has been employed, as the Creator has been given it to us, has been left really to just teach us to be consumers. And by doing so, the word has not been elevated, to the highest way that it can be brought upon this world. And so that's the whole idea. So I've created this CEOs.com, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect the names. We will sign in there, people that have done something for the word that is in them, in the way that they have built up knowledge in themselves to know how to take care of the temple, to take care of their body. They have tested and proved it, and they can recommend it to others. Just like the things I've done, I'm going to recommend a few things of my style of eating right now that has helped me all these years. Maybe this can help you too. A few of the things I'm going to share with you. But you need to work on that yourself, because what I give you is try and test it. I tried it on myself, and I know it works. All these people like Melinda Gates and this Fauci doctor, Bill Gates, they're going to give you the vaccine. But I believe me, they're not gonna try and test those vaccines for themselves. They'll try and test it on other kids in Zimbabwe or whatever. All the darkies are, like this doctor call it. And they just working for the pharma and for the governments. To do things according to the little percentage of the people that they are concerned for. All right, so they are just depending on your deficiencies. So what you have to do is you got to do something that you have tried and tested that has make you strong, that can withstand anything that the so-called economy of our time throws at you. This is a very weak. To me, this economy that we live, it's been very weak for a long time, because I have managed to live above it. You see that I don't need it. I don't need the way that they think. The things that they tell me that I need, I don't need them. Okay, and it's not that in the job that I'm doing. By the way, this interpreter job, I had no idea that I could make a lot of money in this job. The most that I ever made, it was in 2016, like $35,000 a year. That year, we went to the house and I thought, wow, I never thought it would come on, because it's a really simple job, it's answering. But guess what happened in 2017? There was the hurricane, of Maria hurricane in Puerto Rico, and the FEMA had their language headquarters for Spanish in there, and everything was, so they had to hire a company, and we were busy day and night. And that year I made $75,000 because we were working so much. And the year after that, it went to 90,000 because it was so much work. Just doing this job. So the thing is, I had to very accustomed myself to a little budget, so I could be, because I did not want to depend on money, where I will spend like maybe $30 a week on food, no more than that, and no more than $100 on anything else. So everything else could be given to some people that are depending on money. So that was my lifestyle. So because for a long time I wanted to be bartering, doing services in exchange for services. And for a while I got to do this, but it wasn't as long as I wanted to. But so I had to go into the money system, but I tried not to depend on money that much. I do look good. If you see me, I dress up well, but all these things, even the friends that have me, they don't say that, because I don't care. They want me to look good. I'll look good, but I'm just going to look good for $1 on Thursdays from Goodwill. I get all my suits. You can get a a three-piece suit, with a jacket and a vest and everything for $1 on Thursdays, on Goodwill. And that's why I do it, even shoes and everything. So I know how to look like $1,000,000 because the people want you to look like that. But I don't want to spend $1,000,000 to look like $1,000,000 if I can get it for $1. So that's the way I live my life. So the main thing to me is the word, and I'm a collector of knowledge, and that's what I get into. That's what that was encouraging me to do everything. So that's what I want you to be encouraged to do, to get and build up the Davar, the economy that is in you, that can run you as a strong individual. So you don't have to be a burden to society. You don't have to be a burden to no one. You can keep yourself healthy. You can get to the age of 60 like I'm right now, and everything functions in me like a 25-year-old. Everything. Okay? I mean, I feel like I feel like God started earlier, very early with me. I was waiting until maybe go into when I'm 80, for God to use me in a big way, for He has opened my understanding earlier already to me. I'm 60, so I think like very young for Him to have started with me. He started at 80 years with Moses, you know. So you see, the way I look at life is completely different from a lot of people. I mean, I'm having the time of my life with this whole thing that's happening. But at the same time, I want you to enjoy yourself as well. Once you make the word that is in you, the bar that is in you, very strong, so that every word that has come on you will come out with wisdom and knowledge, to strengthen your fellow man, to make him strong. So you have a leshon tov. I guess I don't understand that right, but a good speech, a strong speech. That's why the title of this today is "How strong is your dabar? How strong is your economy?" That's why you need to be concerned. Forget the economies of the world. All the economies of the world are weak because they're based on just giving you those 200 fruits and vegetables, and condiments, and deprive you of the other 99 point something percent of the edible garden that is for your longevity. So why follow them? They're not gonna give you any good advice. They're just gonna inject you for something that is gonna keep you depending on them. All right. So this is the thing. So what I want to share to you today now is a little bit, of because people are asking me what's the things that I eat, or but one thing that I eat, I drink. First it comes to drinking. Okay, I drink 80 ounces or more of distilled water. Distilled water, because you want a water that is not quiet. Distilled means it's water that, it's an emotion. It's the I'm sorry, so that when it goes in you, everything that is bad in you attaches itself to that water, and it's taken out of your system. They're not supposed to be in you. So it washes, really cleanses your system from within. So that's what I do. I've been doing this for years now. So, and aside from the water, I do cook anything that I cook it with coconut oil, or olive oil, or sometimes I use avocado oil, but it's mostly coconut oil or olive oil. And sometimes I use some grape seed oil. Okay, that's about all the oils that I use. Okay, to cook anything. That's when it comes to the oils. And I also take this. Let me see if I can put it in here. This is the Bragg's, I believe, apple cider. The apple cider Bragg's. I put 1 teaspoon of that in water every day. Or I add it to my tea in the night sometimes. I'll tell you what kind of tea I drink. I have like one meal a day, like I told you. And the one meal consists mainly of all the things that have vitamin A in them. Because vitamin A, as you see, is good for this, to fight this virus. But also, I want it basically because I want to keep a strong eyesight. I don't want to lose it. Because I'm looking at the screen. My job has me looking at the screen the whole day. So I had to keep my eyesight strong. So vitamin A is found in carrots. Guavas have a vitamin A when it comes to fruits. But it's found in carrots and tomato juice. It's found in bell peppers. It's found in kale and spinach. Brussels sprouts. And also in fish, like in salmon fish. I also have a 1 tablespoon of cod liver oil that I drink every day, every morning, and The only thing I used to supplement with what is called magnesium, zinc, and potassium. I had a supplement like that I used to use, but then I found out a good place to get it from, a good natural source. And I'll see if I can put it closer here. It's called pumpkin seeds. See if I can put it here for you to see it. Put it here. Pumpkin seeds, raw pumpkin seeds, not roasted and salted, just raw pumpkin seeds. I buy these at Ralph. Like it costs about, sometimes it's $3.99 or $4.99. But buy 3 or 4 ounces of this every day. Okay, they are like little white seeds like this. So you have to peel them off. You figure out a way to how to peel them off. But so you eat 3 ounces to 4 ounces of that every day. That gives you, that's loaded with zinc, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, and it has iron. Man, that thing is a good antioxidant, multivitamin in many ways. So you use it, and it's good for that. And I also use the pumpkin oil. This is the one I use here, Flora. Uh, I can even show you the page where I buy it from. I think I put that in here. Let me see. Yeah, it's called Flora pumpkin oil. Now, like I say, the pumpkin seeds is loaded with all of that, but you can look it up for all the things that you can do. But for example, in the woman that has hot flashes, it balances the estrogen, it balances the hormones, so you can say goodbye to have flashes if you have those problems. And also for men, any men with erectile dysfunction problems, take them away. Just get in the habit of eating those and having one of those things, uh, this pumpkin seed, or this pumpkin oil, 1 tablespoon of that, and that, you know, that problem will be gone away. Just drink a lot of water. Now I had that erectile dysfunction problem when I was 43, and they went away with the water cure, by the way, with the drinking the water and salt and all of that, you know. Uh, so I did not use this for this purpose, but I found out that this ingredient, this is good, for to give me the magnesium, and all the magnesium helps us to sleep real good, and those all kinds of wonders. It helps with the hair, keeps you youthful and all this stuff. But you want to have all these things in a natural way. So I'm giving you the best way to get it is that way, and so it helps with that, and that's the most natural way to do it because all these industries. I also have key limes that I use. I put them on hot water in the morning, 2 or 3 of these, and just on not boiling water, but hot water is, and I drink that 8 ounces. Like I told you already about now I do drink a tea every night, uh, and this tea is made out of a cinnamon tea, and I use the what is called the Ceylon. Let me put it here. Ceylon. Uh, this is canela. It's been cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon. And there's like little one like that. I put that, and I use ginger. Like ginger root. Cut pieces of that. Put it in the tea, and I also on that tea I put this is like avocado leaves. Okay, I just got to use one leaf, and put it in the tea, and I drink about 12 ounces of that tea. Now, with all of that, if you have diabetes, it regulates, the cinnamon regulates diabetes, and the ginger, all of that helps with that. And the avocado leaves is something that my mom always raised us an avocado tea, and I used to drink, and I like the taste of it. It's very sweet. So all of that, I like it. So this is the style of life with all these things. My blood pressure stays always very low. Like I said, in 2003, I was diagnosed with everything: diabetes, high blood pressure, high triglycerides. But after I went to the water cure, you know, uh, and I implemented that, and then I started doing all these things and changes in my life. I had never had to go to see the doctor. I never had to deal with any of those things. And the Dabar, the economy, the word that is in me has grown strong and strong by the every year that goes by. And that's what I wish for you, this Good Friday, for you to get something useful to build up the Dabar in you. Okay, so you will learn how to use it so that the bar is flowing out of you as an anointed one, as an authorized one to be able to give good advice. And that's what eventually we're going to do. We're going to register the people. that from this pandemic are going to learn from now on to build their own economy for themselves. Okay, because remember, you're a temple, you're a whole building, you're, for the dwelling place of your maker. And he communicates with you through the Davar. So you're going to build that Davar, that economy of expressing him and his character, so you'll be a burden to no one, but yet you will be able to edify everybody and be in any situation. So I'll be speaking more about that, as we progress tomorrow. And tomorrow I'm going to figure how to do this live here. I'm going to have more time. I don't work on, since of this, I don't work on Saturdays anymore, but I used to work on Saturdays, but I can't do it anymore because now, we're in the pandemic, so only 40 hours. And, I thank the maker for that. I have the time to be able to do this at the same time. So that will be all for now. So thank you for your time. And may Hashem, and may the Lord bless you.